Hello and welcome to another analysis behind the news, where we provide the perspective that you can use to help save American liberty and independence. Today we have one action item for you, so please stay tuned. In our last episode, we discussed the latest censorship of Alex Jones and InfoWars, as well as the deliberate and deceptive algorithm tweaks that Google has done to thwart traffic, to bury traffic to conservative sites. We discussed the brazen use of fact checkers that use politically correct truth to replace actual facts. The New American Magazine published an article last week about YouTube adding disclaimers to some videos to help combat what it deems fake news, including the debunked theory of man-made global warming, which it reports as well established. Now, since we are in the midst of an information age, naturally, we are seeing the establishment wanting to control that information with their brand of information, their facts, and their truth. Now, recall the Bible verse in which Pontius Pilate cynically replied to Jesus after he told them that he was sent to bear witness to the truth. Pilate rhetorically asked, "What is truth?" You'll find the establishment questioning truth time and time again to help blunt the sharp sword of truth. Mr. Robert Welch, founder of the John Birch Society, for years studied organizations and traveled the world to better understand how to assemble an effective way to combat the anti-American communist movement, of which had taken deep roots in our country. Not surprisingly, he found that to be effective, one need only tell the truth and spread understanding among the population. And not a politically correct or politically expedient truth, but the truth. He repeatedly said, "Truth is our only weapon, and education our total strategy." He wrote in his founding speech in 1958, "They have let nothing stand in their way, and nothing divert them. They have used the philosophy of socialism as an ideological weapon in this struggle, whenever they could and for whatever it was worth. But it was only one of their many weapons. They have also used bribery, lies, bluff, brutality, the countless tentacles of treason, murder on a scale never before dreamed of in the world, and every possible means to advance them on this road, without the slightest concern for any moral difference in these various means. And above all, they have used patience. A patient gradualism has been the most important key to the communists' overwhelming success." And there is a key point: patient gradualism. Basic facts are slowly being turned on their collective heads. But folks, this hasn't happened overnight. Mr. Welch wrote about the attack on truth in the February 1972 issue of the Bulletin. Now, I've condensed it a little bit from the whole thing, so let me just jump right in. He writes again in February 1972, "In March of 1968, we brought Cicero to our support with his concise pronouncement, 'Great is the power of truth.' To begin our bulletin for August of that year, we used Cecil Torme's reaffirmation of the whole basic truth about the menace that we face. And in the socialist revolution, there is an end to the family, the country, and religion. It is the widespread ignorance of this future fate ordained for us by the insiders, or establishment, or deep state, whatever you'd like to call it, as a necessity for their exercise of absolute power, which we must overcome. So we called your attention to the May 1969 forward to Isaiah's lament about what had happened to his countrymen. He wrote, 'Therefore my people have gone into captivity because they have no knowledge.' In May 1969, we let Edmund Burke reinforce this conclusion with his own observation. 'The people never give up their liberties but under some delusion.' In September of 1970, we quoted Admiral C. Turner Joy's distillation of experience, 'Truth is communism's most dangerous enemy.' 3 months later, we return to a striking passage from Isaiah. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, and put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Striking, because it describes exactly the master conspirators who, by such deception, threaten today our freedom and our lives. And now, in February 1972, we repeat these warnings and exhortations about the importance of truth as a means to our salvation. For the enemy, fully aware of the power of truth, tries by every conceivable means to prevent its proper use as a weapon, and to offset its potential effectiveness even when used largely by the fabrication and promotion of seemingly plausible falsehoods without shame and without end. Never, we believe, in all human history has truth been so violently, massively, and continuously assaulted as it is today. Well, folks, this reads like it was written just yesterday. But again, this was written 46 years ago. You are witnessing such an assault on the truth today. And Mr. Welch went on in the same bulletin to discuss how the communist roots had been spreading since at least 1798 under Jacobin influence. This influence had become so great that George Washington issued 2 warnings about it to his fellow citizens. As JBS CEO Arthur Thompson recently defined it in a recent video called Jacobinism, a Revolution of Terror, Jacobinism is a set of democratic organizations that helped to break down law and order to help set up the French Revolution. Their main tool of enforcement was the guillotine. Nowadays, you'll find a magazine called The Jacobin that advocates for a socialist perspective in politics, economics, and culture. So perhaps it wasn't too surprising to see the New York Times reprint a Jacobin opinion piece that calls for the dismantling of our Constitution. True to Jacobin nature, in the article, they misrepresent the true foundation of our republic as a democracy and use James Madison's warnings about democracies to show that our system of government must be an evolving tool. It also laments that it is so difficult to change the Constitution. And, come to think of it, these folks would have much in common with those that advocate for a convention to amend the Constitution. And as the late Scalia said, this is a terrible century to write a Constitution. But we digress. The truth of the matter is that there is an agenda against the truth. And there is organization behind that agenda. And it didn't just happen. So you've now come to the point where you've seen a glimpse of this agenda and the organization. To paraphrase a popular movie line, are you going to choose the red pill or the blue pill? Will you have truth revealed to you, or will you continue to carry on in ignorance? It's up to you. If you decide to learn more of the truth, then get our special report on the deep state in action to help you get started. This was just published last week. Then continue your journey by subscribing to the magazine or join the John Birch Society, because members get that magazine for free. Links are in the video description, and please like and share this and subscribe to our social media channels and news alerts. So until next time, we'll see you then.